SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
Did you know Toyota of Brookhaven has sold more new vehicles the last 2 years than any other dealership in Southwest Mississippi? Come see why. Exit 40 Brookhaven or online at ToyotaBrookhaven.com. Great service, great savings. At Toyota of Brookhaven, we deliver.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good morning. Welcome to the start of a new week. We have passed the halfway point in the month of August. That means we're moving toward Labor Day. That's what? A week from now. We've got less than a week from now. We're 5 days away from the start of the college football season with the limited slate of games, which means we are 2 weeks from today is Labor Day. There it is. Did all the math in my head, so you didn't have to. Even, I guess I could have just looked at the calendar in front of me. That might have made sense as well. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming online at supertalk.fm. SuperTalk TV, on the go for you as a podcast or however is easy on the SuperTalk Live app. But we are glad to have you along on the radio this morning as well as we get started. And as you know, we love to hear from you, or at least I hope you know that. C-Spire text line is the best way to do that, 601-879-4395. Every sports fan can tell you fast speeds win games. It's why C-Spire brings you fiber home internet, nationwide 5G wireless, and IT solutions that move as fast as your business. Learn more at cspire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you. Normally, I would say, good morning, Lance, but Lance is off this week. He is on vacation. He is in parts unknown. He is on a hiking expedition in the Himalayas. And so Will East sits in the large chair this morning. Good morning, Will East.
Actually, he is up this morning because he texted me at 5:30 about something. You know, it's like one of those things where I can't wait to sleep in. I can't wait to sleep in. I can't wait to sleep in. And you wake up at your normal time.
I have a text from him at 4:13 a.m. Like, dude, come on. Come on, man. Do you think that means he hasn't gone to bed yet, or he got up early?
I would hope it's the former, not the latter.
Well, I mean, but if he wanted to stay up till 4, not having to work on Monday morning would be the time, I suppose, to do that.
I guess so, though. But as you know,
so
better than anybody, when you get up at super early in the morning, it just it changes something in your DNA for all time.
You going to be okay doing this week?
I think so.
Because you are not the world's being like an early morning person is not your choice.
No, I don't like. I'm not a morning person. Never have been. Never claimed to be. I'm a night owl. And so what happens, Richard, is today is okay.
Yep.
Tomorrow will be rough for some reason.
Okay.
Wednesday will be better. Thursday will be better. Friday, no problem whatsoever. And then I got to go back to my normal schedule. So you never quite get, unless you do it. I've done it 2 weeks in a row one time, and that second week was actually fairly easy. My body got accustomed to it. Now it threw my sleep off for the next week, but
it does. I have learned it does take a little getting used to, but once you get there, it's like, okay, we can do this.
But the problem, if you get up early, okay, that's fine. But in this job, you have to get up early, and you have to
function,
be energized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. The flip side of it would be you should go to bed late, or you should go to bed early also, so that you still get the requisite amount of sleep. I haven't really changed my bedtime habits.
That's not good long term there, Ricardo.
Well, but aren't there like lots of highly functioning people on the planet that get by on about 5 hours of sleep a night?
I'm sure there are. But I don't think your doctor would recommend it.
Probably not. But it's probably not the only thing that in my life my doctor would not recommend that I tend to live out on a daily basis. You know what? You just need lots of sunshine and you need to sweat a lot. That'll keep you young, keep you vibrant, keep you healthy for a long time. We've got that for you across the state of Mississippi. Hernando, you're going to be sunny today with hot and a high near 100. Winds out of the east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Vaden, except for a few afternoon clouds, going to be mainly sunny for you with hot and a high of 99. It was fascinating looking at the weather last night. The farther south you go in the state, the cooler it gets. Now, not a lot, but progressively. Mendenhall, sunny, some afternoon clouds, stray shower or thunderstorm possible, high of 96, winds out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Gulfport, you got the cool spot, 91 degrees. Now, I'm assuming there's some humidity there, but hey, there's humidity everywhere. Clouds and sun, stray shower, thunderstorm possible, winds out of the east. I went with a couple of buddies on a quick weekend golf trip this past weekend over in Little Rock. Drove over Saturday morning, had lunch, played Saturday afternoon, and we got 3 holes in, and then we heard the siren. Lightning delay. Okay. So we go back to the clubhouse, and we hang out and sit around, and we have to wait a little over an hour. Get back on the course. We get through number 12, and siren goes off again, lightning delay. And it's like, well, we're just done for the day. So we shut it down, and yesterday was great. It was hot, but it was great. Not a drop of rain. Just lightning within that 5-mile radius. And that's a bummer.
Yeah. I same thing Saturday at my house. It was thundering outside, and it was sunshine. I don't know where the thunder came from. I was like, where is it? And then like a light sprinkle came down. Again, complete sunshine everywhere, and that was about it.
Yeah. C-Spire text line, top of the morning, fellas. I'm listening in the Raleigh-Durham area. I believe we call that the Research Triangle. While I'm up here for training over the next couple of weeks, thanks for letting me bring a little bit of home along for the ride. Thanks for taking some home with you. We appreciate
Carolina.
That.
How about that?
Yeah. Boy, that is a rockin' busy area.
Raleigh is like unbelievable how fast it's growing. I've got a friend of mine that lives up there.
Yeah, the airport in Raleigh is really nice. It feels very new. Like they've just had to build and build and build. And it is not the disaster that the Charlotte airport has turned into. 20 years ago, the Charlotte airport was, they've got the rocking chairs in the Charlotte airport. Yeah. If you've been through there, like in the big main, we'll call it the concourse that connects the terminals, the big open area where they've got the sushi place and the piano and the candy shop and the Chick-fil-A and all that good stuff. And then you've got all the different terminals. That felt like a front porch years ago. Big glass windows overlooking the airfield, and it was almost quaint. And now it's just like, do we want to get rid of the rocking chairs and add another moving sidewalk? I mean, it is like shoulder to shoulder in that airport. Raleigh's nice, though. I like it a lot. Meriwether Lewis was born this day. You're born with a name like Meriwether, you need to do something important in your life.
So was he the one that was killed on the Natchez Trace?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
One of them, I can't remember which one. It was...
was he driving along and a deer ran out in front of him?
I almost hit one this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, buck.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was about...
Still in velvet?
Or coming out of it? It was so dark.
My bad.
He had 2 feet out on the asphalt, and I was cruising right by him. But no, either Lewis or Clark, one of the two, was killed on the Natchez Trace, was murdered on the Natchez Trace.
Hold on a second. You're telling me the Natchez Trace existed in 1809? Or
Dude, the Natchez
sometime
Trace
before that?
Dates back to the 1700s. Now, it wasn't paved.
Okay. Was the speed limit 50 then?
Speed limit was 5 because it was horse and buggy traffic. But yeah, the Natchez Trace is, in fact, you can see parts of it now. It's called the Old Trace. It's the ancient trail that the Native Americans used for many years, and then settlers after that. But he was killed. He was murdered, and they never solved his murder.
I am equally impressed with your knowledge of this, and maybe a little embarrassed that I didn't know that the Natchez Trace and its history of such.
You never stop and read this. You never have stopped and read one of the signs?
The number of times I have traveled more than about 2 miles on the Natchez Trace. But you got to remember, we don't have the Trace in Oxford. You got to go elsewhere. You grew up in the greater Tupelo metro area. You're now in the greater Jackson metro area. You have lived in 2 Natchez Trace hubs.
I drive it every day.
Anyway, Meriwether Lewis was born on this day. He was part of Lewis and Clark. We just getting started with you. Monday morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. Will in for Lance. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Monday morning, thanks for joining us as you and we begin a week together. Ceasefire text line open, 601-879-4395. Some other birthdays or born on dates from this day in history. 1927, Rosalind Carter was born, the American First Lady. 1977 until 1981, born in Plains, Georgia, passed away in 2023. Preceded her husband, Jimmy Carter, in death. 1928, Marge Schott was born. Former Major League Baseball owner of the Cincinnati Reds. She died in Cincinnati back in 2004. She was a piece of work. I mean, you can just like do an image search of her and look at her and be like, okay, she was a piece of work. Big smoker. Not afraid to jump right out there with a microphone in her hand and talk to her player, Pete Rose, or one of her coaches along the way. She's been canceled since death. Well, she was canceled by some, but while she was still alive.
Yeah, she was forced to sell the team, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
was she forced into it?
I think she was forced to sell the team because she was so bad.
Due to some racially insensitive remarks?
Yeah.
And when I say racially insensitive, I mean she was a racist?
Yes.
Pretty openly. But had to let it go when it was all said. So, anyway, her birthday would have been today. Roberto Clemente, Hall of Famer from Puerto Rico, 15-time All-Star, won the World Series in 1960, was World Series MVP in 71 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, born in Carolina, Puerto Rico. The great Robert Redford is 89 years old today, born in 1936, the Sting, the Candidate, the Natural, All the President's Men. Also an Academy Award-winning director, did you know this, for Ordinary People? Quiz Show, great movie. A River Runs Through It.
That's a good one.
Cult classic, A River Runs Through It. Born in Santa Monica, California. A pretty good-looking dude, too. Feel comfortable in saying that.
The next guy is pretty good-looking, too.
Well, you know, we got a pretty good run from the acting community right here. Patrick Swayze, born in 1952, passed way too soon in 2009. You know, the site that I go to and kind of look at some of these birthdays, they give a couple of movies. I feel like there's a little bit missing from the library here. They mentioned Dirty Dancing and Ghost. No, does Roadhouse not get a mention?
I mean, come on. It's probably the movie that he's most famous for now. I mean, these other movies.
You think more than Dirty Dancing?
At the time, it would have been Dirty Dancing.
Thought nobody put Baby in the corner.
Nobody puts Baby in the corner. But now Roadhouse has become such a cult classic, and it is a fantastic movie that I think it's become his magnum opus.
I feel like a guy that was super popular when I was, 13, is this guy, Christian Slater, born in 1969. Robin Hood, Untamed Heart, Heathers, born in New York City. Does it feel like in the MTV days, Christian Slater was a big deal?
Yeah, but I think he had some drug issues and fell off the map.
Yeah.
And some dud movies, too. That'll do it to you. Drugs and duds.
You know who hadn't done many duds? Edward Norton. 56 years old, American History X, Fight Club, my top 5 favorite movie of all time, Rounders. He was Worm.
Rounders is a good movie.
Great movie. On this day in 1909, the mayor of Tokyo, Yukio Ozaki, presented Washington, D.C. with 2,000 cherry trees, which President William Howard Taft not only accepted, but decided to plant near the Potomac River. Perhaps you know that as the dawning of the Cherry Blossom Festival. We have 5 cherry blossom trees in our backyard. I hate them with the hate of 1,000. However,
what do you hate about them so
my
much?
dear, beautiful wife loves them.
What do you hate about them so much?
I don't know that there is another tree that has more seasons of activity in which things fall from it. We have a pool in the backyard, and the cherry trees almost hang over the edge of the pool.
That's not good.
And so they bloom earlier than anything else. So it's not like all this just happens at once. Like, you got magnolias doing this, and you got hydrangeas over here, and azaleas over here, and the oak trees, and they all bloom at different times. So they bloom first, but then they drop the petals from the bloom. And they're little bitty white petals. They go into the pool and the skimmer and clog it up and all those things. And then they pop seed heads, which turn into the leaves that turn green for the entire summer. But they drop the little seed heads once the leaves come. So you get a second round of, over the course of 2 weeks, it drops everything. And then the leaves start falling earlier than any other tree. And so they begin the 2-month-long process of all of the trees ridding themselves. In fact, I was thinking this morning, I was actually thinking yesterday, trees, would you just hold on to your leaves until you can't hold on? Like, I don't need you dropping leaves because it's hot outside. We got enough to deal with the heat. Just because the calendar says middle of August doesn't mean it's time for you to start dropping your leaves. Just hold on for a little while longer.
Mine's doing the exact. I was thinking the same thing yesterday. I can just see the leaves falling in the
I thought
backyard.
we shed leaves when it got cold. Ay.
So these cherry trees, cherry blossoms, you gonna Harvey Updike them?
Nope. I like being married to my wife.
I don't know what happened, honey. I don't know.
Yeah. Marge was upset that the Rebs swept the A's, which cost her money, and refused to pay for a post-game meal. Primal
Because
fear
there was less games, right? It was less games, so she got less revenue. I think that's the way it worked.
1920 State Representative Harry T. Byrne cast the deciding vote in Tennessee's and thus America's ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, allowing women's suffrage after reading a letter from his mother. On this day in 1956, Elvis Presley's Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel reached number 1 in the charts, staying there for 11 weeks, a record for a single release. So I guess it was the album that had both Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel on it.
Wow.
Today in 1963, James Meredith became the first black graduate from the University of Mississippi with a degree in political science. Fast forwarding a bit, 2016, Jamaica's Usain Bolt won the gold medal in the men's 200 for the third consecutive Summer Olympics, recording a time of 19.78 seconds in Rio de Janeiro. I feel like this needs, I feel like you need a visual for this, as opposed to just, oh yeah, I remember watching. Or even if you're watching on a track, I don't feel like it does the same thing for you as if you say, take a football field, backline of the end zone to backline of the end zone, add another one to it, backline of the end zone to the goal line, and he covers from that far back line to the second goal line in less than 20 seconds.
It's amazing.
And he does it, he did it, and it looked effortless.
Yes.
2017, this is cool. You remember Paul Allen? He was one of the Microsoft executives, made a boatload of money, owner of the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think he was ever married, but he loved exploration, he loved history, he loved the ocean. And in 2017, civilian researchers led by Paul Allen rediscovered the USS Indianapolis 72 years after it was sunk by Japanese torpedoes. By the way, after the peace gift of the cherry blossom trees, they got mad and decided to fight against us for a little while, and I think now they're friends again. 18,000 feet, 3 miles and change below the surface of the Pacific Ocean. 72 years later, they found the USS Indianapolis.
So you know what the Indianapolis is, right? If you ever watch Jaws, that's the scene. The guy, the guy from Jaws, he describes what happened. He was on the USS Indianapolis. It's the bomb. It's the ship that carried the bomb, the atomic bomb.
Oh,
and
it was on its way back home.
It was on a super secret mission, got hit, and nobody knew that they got hit because it was super secret. And so, shark-infested waters, it is a horrific story.
2020, Joe Biden formally nominated as the Democratic Party's presidential candidate during the second night of their first ever virtual convention. They thought that was a good idea. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi. Got news and sports for you coming up next.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross and you. Glad to have you along for the ride. C-Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. Will East in for Lance for the week. Tim in Cleveland says Lewis did indeed die on the Natchez trace. Let's try that again. Grinder Station near Hohenwald, Tennessee. Was it murder or suicide? Suffered from alcoholism and depression. I mean, never mind. I was reading about I think I knew bits and pieces of the USS Indianapolis, but needed a jog down memory lane on some of the details. Man.
1,100 on the ship, I believe, 1,200, something like that. And
1,196 with only 316 who survived.
316, yeah. I think they set up maybe 150 were killed by sharks, something like that.
You read the book or seen the movie, The Boys in the Boat?
I have not.
Oh, it's spectacular. Highly recommend.
About the Indianapolis?
No, it's... Wait. No. I'm thinking about two different movies. Boys in the Boat was the story of the Washington rowing team. I read another book at about the same time that I read that one that was about survival after a plane was shot down out on kind of the open seas. And it was like a months-long thing, and like the combination of the sun and the salt and the sea life and, you know, just the monotony was incredible. I'll go back in the break and figure out what the name of that book was. Mississippi lost one of its most successful contemporary authors on Friday with the passing of Greg Iles. He was 65, Natchez native who wrote 17 novels, died around 5 a.m. after a decades-long battle with multiple myeloma, an incurable blood cancer. The newspaper in his hometown, the Natchez Democrat, was the first to report the news. Unbroken. Thank you. Yes, that was the name of the book. Well done. Iles informed readers in early 2024 that he had cancer and would soon be undergoing a stem cell transplant, but in a public letter he revealed that his diagnosis first came in 1996, saying that he had been living as, quote, one of the luckiest patients alive, close quote. Listen to this. After nearly dying from an experimental treatment, I, with the blessing of my father, the inspiration for Dr. Tom Cage, withdrew from the medical system and continued my writing career while keeping my illness completely secret. Against all odds, I became one of the luckiest patients alive and survived more than 20 years of a smoldering form of cancer without terminal progression. 2 years ago, however, my extraordinary run of luck ran out and myeloma switched on. I nearly died before I was even aware that the disease had reawakened. So to the family, to the friends, and to the readers, millions upon millions of you, Greg Iles passed away. Rest his soul. 3 people were arrested in Pearl River County after law enforcement discovered methamphetamine concealed in a sweet tea jug. Yup. According to the Pearl River County Sheriff's Office, deputies conducted what would have been just a routine traffic stop on August 6th when they found not one but 2 bags of meth concealed inside a Milo's tea gallon bottle. According to a release, during the stop, probable cause to search the vehicle was developed. The patrol deputy noticed a white plastic bag inside of a plastic jug containing Milo's sweet tea. The deputy emptied the tea from the jug and then recovered 2 bags containing methamphetamine.
A little bit of a twang to it.
The bust in Poplarville resulted in the arrests of Patrick Russell, 33 years old, Brianna Harris, 27, and Javaz Bowden, 29.
Do you drink sweet tea?
Occasionally.
You know,
my preference is unsweet tea, and I think actually my preference is now just an Arnold Palmer. Unsweet tea with a splash of lemonade.
Yeah. The sweet tea my mom used to make. I'm surprised I don't have diabetes, as much sugar as she put in that thing.
Maybe it wasn't sugar. maybe it was something else.
Some other white powder.
Who did you guys say died on the trace? Meriwether Lewis back in the early 1809, I believe it was.
We couldn't figure out whether it was Meriwether Lewis or Clark. I don't remember. Can't remember. Fred Clark. Yeah. Of the great band Meriwether and Lewis. Yeah. So they don't know whether it was murder or suicide.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
European and NATO leaders announced yesterday that they would be joining President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington to present a united front in talks with President Donald Trump on ending Russia's war in Ukraine, firming up U.S. security guarantees that are now on the negotiating table. We're going to spend a good bit of time on this in the 7 o'clock hour. Brother, the reporting on the Alaska summit, you just thought journalism couldn't go to another place beyond where it has been, disappointingly, for the last, 15 years? Maybe not quite that long. And then. But we'll get to that. Leaders from Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and Finland are rallying around the Ukrainian president after his exclusion from... Again, this is the AP. This is the Associated Press. This is the news story recapping what is coming up and what just happened. Leaders from Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and Finland are rallying around the Ukrainian president after his exclusion from Trump's summit on Friday. While factually correct, he wasn't excluded. Excluded makes me think, well, hell, we're going to have a party and we're going to not invite them. We will just exclude them from our meeting. So, yes, factually, he was excluded from the meeting. It was step one in the process. And Putin really is the one that excluded him, not Trump. He wasn't going to meet with him until there was a reason to meet with him. Anyway. Their pledge to be at Zelensky's side at the White House Monday is an apparent effort to ensure the meeting goes better than the last one in February. Well, wear a suit. That might help. Putin had agreed to a summit last Friday in Alaska with Trump that the U.S. and its European allies could offer Ukrainian security guarantees. Steve Witkoff told one of the interview shows that it was the first time that we had heard Russia say that would be okay, and that was a game changer. Old Manny Macron in France said that Europe's delegation will ask Trump to back plans that they drafted to beef up Ukraine's armed forces. Ursula is going to be there. Ursula von der Leyen.
Oh.
Boy, they were mad at her a couple of weeks ago.
Wonder if her and old Macron will be, on speaking terms with each other.
I don't know.
She going to hit him again. Isn't that what she did? She hit him, right?
When?
Or pushed him? Off the plane. The cameras caught it.
No, that was his wife.
Who are you talking about?
She's the president of the European Commission.
Oh. No, I don't know.
She's the one that was speaking on behalf of Europe and did the trade deal with Trump for all of the EU a couple of weeks ago. And everybody's like, what did we get? You gave him everything.
Ursula
von der Leyen. Yeah. No, this was not
sounds
Macron's
like a
wife.
Bond villain's what she sounds like. Ursula.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ursula says, we welcome President Trump's willingness to contribute to Article 5-like security guarantees for Ukraine, and the coalition of the willing, including the European Union, is ready to do its share. Sports headlines are brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Pretty good Saturday night for Jackson Dart, getting snaps with the first-team offense, then throwing for a touchdown, running for another with the backups. Jackson Dart shined in his new home stadium debut. The New York Football Giants, part of a 31-12 victory over the hapless New York Jets. The rookie first-round pick, whom the Giants envision as their long-term franchise quarterback, couldn't have gone much better for him. He followed Russell Wilson, who was pulled mid-drive after a good job. Finished 14 of 16 for 137 yards with a touchdown through the air, rushing touchdown as well. Nearly perfect before he handed off to Jameis Winston in the ballgame. The numbers Scotty Scheffler is compiling have been drawing comparisons with Tiger Woods. The world's number one had a Tiger-like moment yesterday. His 82-foot chip-in birdie on the 17th landed about 60 feet short of the hole, and it rolled all the way out. The very last revolution of the ball fell into the bottom of the cup. The birdie all but wrapped up another win, his fifth PGA Tour title of the year. Final round 3 under 67 came from 4 shots back when the round began. He'll play in the Tour Championship at Eastlake this coming week.
From the Venable Glass.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Richard Cross. Monday morning, glad to be with you. We have much to discuss this morning. Will and I tend to expand on topics maybe more than we should sometimes, and so it slows things down. And our Natchez Trace conversation I thought was really interesting, but it's going to leave some stuff on the docket. We're going to try not to leave any of your C-Spire. See, I'm talking too fast. C-Spire text line messages hanging. CC, you are foreshadowing. We're going to call this a segue, but we're just going to use it right now. Without actually calling her an idiot, Marco Rubio called Margaret Brennan an idiot. Oh, yes, he did. We're going to play that for you coming up here in just a little bit. She's like a cute little Pomeranian who growls and gnaws at your ankle relentlessly. Mr. Secretary. Time for your Mississippi Lottery update brought to you by, you guessed it, the Mississippi Lottery. MSLottery.com is the website. Go there to check in on all of the games, all the promotions, all of the new tickets that you can get. I will tell you this. There was not a winner in the Powerball over the weekend, which means tonight's jackpot is an estimated $605 million with an estimated cash value of $273.4 million. You know, there was a time where the cash value was well over 50% of the total jackpot. And I did some reading about that one time, and the reason it has gone down, I think it has to do with the bond market. I mean, it has to do with the financial markets and rates of return on super safe investments and whatnot. But that's like, 45%? Because half of 605 would be 302.5. Shave another $30 million off that. The government is in your pocket in a big way, and then they're going to take taxes off of that as well. So I don't know how tariffs factor into the Powerball number, so you don't have to get mad at tariffs over that. $605 million. It still would not be bad, Will. Put about $165 million in your pocket.
Yeah.
Would you continue working?
I probably would, to be honest with you.
Think you might choose to take a couple of things off your plate, though?
I don't know if I'd be up here at 5:30 a.m., but yeah, I'd still work.
Yeah. You can get your tickets at your local Mississippi Lottery spots. Be sure to get that $1 add-on for the power play. It could make a difference even if you don't win the great big jackpot. Mississippi Lottery, MSLottery.com. Tennessee has named a starting quarterback, Joey Aguilar. Might you remember that name from a year ago? He was the quarterback at Appalachian State in the Sun Belt Conference, and then in the offseason he jumped into the transfer portal and went to UCLA. But then Nico Iamaleava jumped into the transfer portal, choosing to leave Tennessee, and he landed at UCLA, which meant that Joey Aguilar jumped back into the transfer portal, and he landed at Tennessee. Now at Appalachian State, where he started, Aguilar was pretty good a year ago. 3,003 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Tennessee opens the season on August 30th against the Syracuse Orange. I think that one's in Atlanta. It was a good day to be gold-ing. Ole Miss defensive coordinator Pete Golding, late last week on the heels of a record-setting season by the Rebels on defense, signed a 3-year contract extension that places him among the top 4 highest-paid defensive coordinators in all of college football in terms of average annual value. New deal averages $2.61 million per year. Only 3 defensive coordinators in the country have a higher AAV, or annual average salary. Jim Knowles at Penn State, a little over $3 million. DJ Durkin at Auburn, $2.7 million. And DeAnton Lynn at Southern Cal, he's making $2.65 million. Golding going to make a little over 2.5 this year, 2.6 next year, 2.7 in 2027. He is the second highest paid assistant coach in all of college football this coming year. But does he deserve it? Well, if it's results-based, you better believe it. Second nationally in scoring defense a year ago at 14.4 points per game. Led the country in sacks per game, recording a school record 52. Ole Miss held 9 of its 13 opponents to less than 100 yards rushing, finished second nationally in rushing defense at 80.5 yards per game, fewest allowed by an Ole Miss defense since 1966. Congratulations, Pete Golding and family. College football season begins this Saturday. Where? Well, Dublin, Ireland, of course. It's called Farmageddon when Iowa State and Kansas State get together. So not Ames, Iowa, not Manhattan, Kansas. Dublin, Ireland for the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, 11 o'clock this Saturday morning. K-State, 3-point favorite against the Cyclones going into the game. News is next, then we're back with you for the 7 o'clock hour.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty. Bend down, isn't it a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city. All around, people looking half dead, walking on the sidewalk harder than a match here. But at night it's a different world.
Well, some deep cuts this morning. I like it. Alongside Will East, in for Lance this week, I'm Richard Cross. Glad to be with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross. Hope your day is off to a good start. My guess is that some of you, if you're anything like my house, you are in the got-to-get-out-the-door mode. You know, kids are like, hey, hurry up. You got to finish your breakfast. Got to brush your teeth. Got to get your backpack. Let's go. We got to go. Because you're on the countdown for, we need to leave in the next 6.5 minutes. I mean, Will, it can be like that scientific. Like, if we don't leave in 4 minutes and 37 seconds, you will be tardy. It's a science. Although, I will tell you, in my neck of the woods, Oxford, heads up this morning if you're taking kids to school. So there are a lot of people, you have multiple schools that are kind of on the east side of Oxford. And construction of a new roundabout begins today at the intersection of Molly Bar and North Lamar. So you better plan accordingly.
A new roundabout?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
They got the double dip on University Avenue that's almost finished. Almost. And they got a new one going in at North Lamar and Molly Bar. For all of the jokes made about roundabouts, they are wildly effective.
I do like them.
Jackson Avenue could use about 17 of them. Holy cow. Thanks for joining us. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. By the way, do any other cities in the state rely on roundabouts heavily?
There's one right down the road from MWG that is a bit of a dud. It's hard to navigate because most people don't understand how a roundabout works.
Yield on the way in, then you got the right of way. It's not hard.
It's a double one, so it's like there's 2 lanes of roundabout.
And you're talking about over in next to the outdoor mall?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it just throws people off if you're not accustomed to it. And it's kind of, most people don't use roundabouts on them every day. But I like them. I think they're incredible. I wish more
yield to oncoming traffic from the left. Once you are inside, you have the right of way. But better keep your head on a swivel because not everybody knows the rules.
That's what I'm saying.
Running a business is tough. If you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of benefits, and I mean a full range of benefits. plus a custom plan that fits you. That's the really cool thing about MWG is it's not a one-size-fits-all, hey, here is the solution to the problem that you might or might not have. No, it's listening. It's building a relationship. It's understanding the way your business operates, what your business flow looks like, and then customizing a solution that will work for you or your HR team or your legal counsel. Or maybe you don't have an HR team and a legal counsel and you're the owner and you have to do everything. Let MWG Employer Services help. Call them today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. Jim and Ripley, is something up with the website? I can't get it to open. I was wondering if it was my computer or not. I have been on supertalk.fm this morning, Jim, and have not had any issue.
We are having some issues.
We are having some issues, though. So
it's in certain areas for some reason.
Don't ask me
why. It just is.
Large roundabout on Highway 72 at Highway 7 in Benton County. It's a nightmare. All right, so that was... Boy, that was under construction for a long time. That's where you did have the stop sign to cross 72, right? So north of Holly Springs, you've had some really bad traffic accidents there. I think that's where we're talking about, Dustin.
If you don't know how to use it, it becomes an issue. If you know how to use it, it's perfect, like everything else in life.
From the 251 number, I believe that's from the state of Alabama. Roundabouts are socialist bullcrap. I appreciate you speaking bluntly. Here we go. Toby, Senatobia has a brand new one right at the T at Main Street and 51, and it is amazing. Traffic just keeps flowing instead of backing up for a mile. Gene in Mendenhall says, make the kids appreciate you. Put them on a bus. It's a great little comic stand-up routine about riding a bus. Kevin and Tupelo, problem with roundabouts is the idiots that don't know how to use them. Yeah, kind of like the journalists that are out there, right? Idiots. The ones in national positions.
That lady from CBS on Face the Nation. She is Margaret Brennan.
Margaret Brennan, yeah.
She's the worst one of the bunch.
I disagree. I actually disagree with you. No. I don't disagree. She is. All right, so you got to rank the three of them from best to worst, understanding that best is
not great.
Yeah. Kristen Welker at NBC, Meet the Press.
All right, I like her. She's okay.
Margaret Brennan, CBS, Face the Nation. Martha Raddatz at ABC.
But is Raddatz doing it, or was
she just filling in yesterday?
I think she was just filling in because John Carl, is it?
Okay.
Jon. John Carl. I think he's
at one point George Snuffleupagus was hosting that
with his booster seat, so he could sit up.
Larry and Mize, unsweet tea is socialist bullcrap. I think. Well, we've been kicking around like merch store stuff. Socialist bullcrap might make a T-shirt.
Socialist bullcrap.
That could become the new, like, if you don't like something, roundabouts, unsweet tea, I think that could become a thing on the C Spire text line. Well, that's a bunch of socialist bull crap. The roundabout on Highway 72 is not a nightmare if you know how to use it, just like Will said. That's from Bruce. Totally agree on the roundabout comment. I'm not sure which one. Oh, the socialist bull crap one. Drivers in the South, one, don't know how to yield, and two, don't know how to merge. When in doubt, zipper merge. If you have two lines of cars going into one lane, just zipper. Alternate every other. Boom, 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 boom. Like every facet of our life is polite until you've got to zipper merge. And then we turn into socialist bullcrappers fighting against the communists. You're not getting in front of me. And I'm not going to look at you in the eye either. I'm going to look down, pretend like I don't see you over there as I very passive-aggressively take my foot off the gas and roll inches forward at a time. Never mind that the sign back there says alternate or zipper. Paul and Hernando. How is a roundabout socialist bullcrap? It just is, Paul. Our newest roundabout in Hattiesburg had a decorative Christmas tree in the middle.
That's
lasted maybe 2 weeks before somebody drove straight through it.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to put distracting items in the middle of a roundabout.
Yeah, I think there is a time period that you have to wait before landscaping your roundabout unless you want to re-landscape it. Because there's somebody coming through that,
especially a new one,
that intersection, that highway, byway, passageway, who has had their head buried in the sand for the last year, didn't realize you were building it, and they're just going to keep merrily on their way straight through as if they have never seen a roundabout before, and you're going to get tire tracks, and your crepe myrtle's going to get messed up, and that hedgerow is going to have to be replanted, and so you got to wait almost a year before you actually landscape it.
A year from now, we will plant something once you people get accustomed to it.
Cross kids on a school bus? Well, that's some socialist bull crap.
Did you ride a school bus?
Yes, sir.
I did too.
Some of the most informative days of my life.
It formed my worldview. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't even know what Jason's saying here. Good chance the car that took out the tree was a Dodge Challenger or a Charger. Possible?
Because they're always driving too fast. That's why.
Ay. Oh, now we've got emojis for the new phrase. Quick timeout. We'll actually get to the stories, maybe, that I intended to get to coming up next, including breaking news from the president this morning. Back with you after this on MRC.
From the Venable Glass.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Welcome to the show.
Some people say this town don't look good in snow. You don't care, I know.
I keep trying to wean us off the C Spire text line this morning because there are some things that we need to get, but you guys are crushing it on a Monday morning. 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Sometimes, if I'm being honest, the C Spire text line, it's like it's for my own entertainment, and there's not a lot of entertainment there. And then sometimes it's going to be a good Monday for a lot of people. You're on your A game right out of the gate. In sports and business, having the right team behind you matters. Partner with C Spire today for business solutions from dedicated, certified IT engineers. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. Every time I'm on the road on a roundabout, I feel like Clark Griswold in European vacation driving in a socialist bullcrap country. You know what is social? You know what? There is a mom out there, at least one, who's saying, I wish he would stop saying that. Like, that is not a word that we are trying to use in our kindergarten household. So let's shorten it to SBC, but we all know what we're talking about. Yeah? Little ears and all that. SBC. You know what is SBC? When you're at the double drive-through lane at McDonald's and you know you need to wait, but the other person on the other lane is going too slow and you just want to cut them off. If the other person is not paying attention, I think you are free to move forward. And the best is when you get to the outside lane, knowing that the person on the inside lane had already begun their order. but they're kind of dragging it out. They're like, I need a Happy Meal. Actually, need 2 Happy Meals, and you are ready to go when you pull up there, and they happen to have 2 operators that are taking orders at the same time. You're like, hey, can I get a number 3 with large Coke, no onions? That'll be $12.16. Boom, go. And they hadn't even gotten to the second Happy Meal toy yet. That is a win in life. Mississippi State's football schedule is some SBC this year. All right, I told you there was somewhat breaking news with the president this morning. About 6 o'clock Eastern time, so roughly 5 o'clock, about an hour before we went on. A Truth Social post from the President of the United States. Jason's is a little late for that abbreviation, isn't it? Well, better late than never. This from the President of the United States. I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. Not sure that surpasses or lives up to a fact check. All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before by signing an executive order to bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them, all caps, for the good of our country, to do. It goes on and on. Despite the long message, despite the mix of lowercase letters, all caps, and random commas. Oh, by the way, all caps. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Indeed. Big deal or no? If enacted, by the way, I'm sure there's already a lawsuit because that's how we operate now. Like, an executive order is not an executive order anymore. An executive order is something on paper that is going to go straight to a courthouse. Like, I don't even know if the left reads the actual executive orders anymore. Like, executive order, sue him, sue the administration. Every single one of them. And no doubt this one will be as well. But can we be honest? This one makes a heck of a lot of sense. On today, hold on, let me go back to the news headlines. To this day in history. On this day in 1920, State Representative Harry Byrne cast the deciding vote in Tennessee's and thus America's ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, allowing women's suffrage. We've seen the Voting Rights Act. We've seen the fight for African Americans to have the right to vote in the United States. There have been a lot of people that have sweated a lot. And in some cases, shed blood along the way. And no doubt cried along the way. So there we got the trifecta. Blood, sweat, and tears. For the right to vote. In the United States of America. Wait, there's more? Oh, yeah, for American citizens. There are a lot of people that bled, sweated, worked their fingers to the bone for the right for all Americans to be able to vote. Wait, only living Americans? For all living Americans to have the right to vote. And so no doubt there will be fierce Democrat opposition to this effort to say, you know what? We are going to universal paper ballots. There will not be any mail-in voting. There will be no more lawsuits in which someone accuses Dominion and Dominion says, no, it wasn't us. Our machines are secure. You owe them $10 million. You owe them $20. We're not going to have that anymore. Why? Because we're going to go to paper. And there are going to be names on a ballot. And you're going to fill in a little bubble. And we're going to scan your ballot. And your vote will be tabulated. And guess what? At 7 p.m., or after the last person goes through the line that was eligible to vote, starting at 7 p.m., let's just say it's, 7:32. We're going to press a button that says, tally votes. And the votes are going to get tallied. And it's going to say, candidate A got 622 votes. Candidate B got 417 votes. We're done. It's not overly complicated. Pretty darn secure. And yet, that's not how we operate now. But we should, right? That's what we should strive for. That we should want fair, integrity-filled elections, right? That's what we want. Yes? Everybody? Yes? Oh, no. There's some that don't actually want elections filled with integrity. There's some that think they can't win an election that is fully honest. Like, let the best man or woman win. Let the chips fall where they may. The will of the people, all of those things. Okay. Going to be really interesting to see where this goes. Really interesting. Mike McKenna is going to join us on the other side of this break. He is president of MWR Strategies. He's columnist with the Washington Post. We'll talk with him some about President Trump's meeting with Putin in Alaska this past Friday. And we will also talk with him some about the meeting that's going to happen today in Washington, D.C. between Trump, Zelensky, and the rest of the European leaders. What should we expect? What does it look like? And what does he think about the coverage? So, I think we're going to have more time to get into this in the 8 o'clock hour. I know we will. There's part of me that says I'm confused. Like, confused as to whether or not you're really that stupid. And I'm using you collectively. Like this big collective you. Are you really that dumb? So you have... And then there, it's like there's dumb, there's ignorant, and then there's like nothing but rocks rattling around inside your head, which is a different level of dumb, I think. If you watch any of the news programs, Mr. President, you said you would walk away if you didn't get a ceasefire. Mr. President, you said you were going to be disappointed if you didn't get a ceasefire. Mr. President, Mr. President. Did you watch the interview that he did with Brett Baer on Air Force One where he very clearly said, it's going to be a hard conversation. I want to get a ceasefire. If we don't get a ceasefire, I'm going to be disappointed. This is the first meeting. There will be another meeting. If this goes well, there will be another meeting. Ukraine is going to have to be involved. He said those things hours before it began.
From the
Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Last Wednesday, a historic summit between the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia. It happened in Alaska. And you had the lead up, the actual meeting where we don't really know what happened, and then you have the coverage that has since come, and now later today you're going to have a meeting in Washington, D.C., with the President of the United States, the President of Ukraine, and a whole bunch of European leaders there as well. Mike McKenna joins us this morning. He is President at MWR Strategies and a columnist with the Washington Times. Mike, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Really appreciate some of your time this morning. One of the things that has struck me since the summit in Alaska on Wednesday has been this this need, and I understand the need for media to ask questions, but this angst that is rolled into this is what they said in the meeting, and this is what the United States conceded, and this is what they gave to Russia. The administration has been pretty buttoned up on what was actually discussed in the meetings, and it feels like there's a lot of jumping to conclusions about what did and didn't happen from people that weren't there.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on with these things. A simple way to think about it is it took us 2 years to get to peace in Vietnam, right? In a war that lasted not quite as long, but these things are not easy, right? And the idea that you have some insight into it if you're not actually sitting in the room when people are talking is just crazy. You just don't, right? You know what they tell you in press conferences. And I thought the president was pretty clear in his press conference on the way back. He said, look, this is the first step in a long process, and, we're probably going to need to talk about a ceasefire. We're probably going to need to talk about some land, and we're going to need to talk about some guarantees that Ukraine's not going to be invaded again. I'm not sure how he could have been clearer, to be honest with you.
Well, and I go back to the interview that he did on Air Force One with Brett Baer before the meeting began, where he kind of laid out his plan going into the meeting, and he said, look, there's going to be a second meeting. This is the first meeting. Zelensky has to be part of any discussions because we are not negotiating for Ukraine. They're going to have to negotiate that on themselves. It feels like the whole "I'll walk out of the meeting" was taken out of context. What was the president's point? Not if Vladimir is not engaging, then I'll walk out. If this just feels like a complete waste of time, as opposed to if we don't get a ceasefire today, then I'm going to walk out.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. He definitely said, "Look, if this thing's a bust, I'm going to know within the first couple of minutes." And the fact that they stayed for 3 hours and had a joint press conference after it was all over, and like you say, he talked to the folks on the flight back home, tells you that he didn't think it was a bust, that it's a process and it's going to take a while. And, again, these things are not easy. I mean, Russia invaded Ukraine for land and to make sure that it didn't join NATO. And, those are sort of things we're going to have to work through. And, President this is not his first rodeo as far as deals, right? So he sort of has a sense of the tempo of these things.
I am curious about the press conference afterward. There's been a lot of talk about the staff members had long looks on their face. I think it was Peter Alexander that said there was an ashen look on the face. Whatever. The thing that I'm curious about was the actual mechanics of the press conference, and I'm wondering if Vladimir Putin went with a little bit of a power play where they got to the podium and he just started talking. Do you believe that was the plan initially, or do you believe that Donald Trump was the person that was supposed to speak first?
I'm pretty sure the president was supposed to speak first, and Putin is what he is, right? He's a terrible person with a pretty good skill set as far as propaganda, and that's and you saw that in Alaska, right? And I give the president full credit. He didn't jump right on him. He just kind of let him finish and said, "All right, now that you got that out of your system, let's get to the real stuff." Yeah.
Where does this meeting go today? It was, I guess, Marco Rubio yesterday. He kind of made the rounds on the morning talk shows. And I don't remember if it was Kristen Welker or Margaret Brennan who talked about the European leaders coming in as like a buffer for Zelensky, so he didn't get it wasn't treated the same way he was the last time he was in the Oval Office. And Rubio pushed back. He said, "We invited the Europeans to this meeting." Do you believe that to be true?
Yeah, I do. Let's put it this way. Nobody shows up at one of these things uninvited. So, definitely the Secretary of State invited these people to the meeting. And the reason why they were invited to the meeting was to be read into what's going on and to offer whatever advice and counsel they have. But, the bottom line is that the United States is driving this thing, and Ukraine is obviously very involved. And the rest of these folks are, for the most part, bystanders. And I don't mean to minimize the European contribution here, but minimizing it is probably the smart thing to do.
To me, there is significance, though, to what happened in the NATO negotiations not too terribly long ago, where the European countries agreed to go up to 5% of GDP, and Trump has said for a number of years now, hey, we're not going to keep funding this entire thing. When we talk about security guarantees, along those same lines, with Europe saying, okay, we will capitulate here, we will go to a higher investment into NATO, does that put them in a spot where they're not going to have any choice but to go into a higher investment with these security guarantees for the European Union, the European countries that are closer to Ukraine than maybe they would have before?
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think you're completely right. That's exactly how this world's going to wind up. Whatever security guarantees happen, it's not going to be just the United States. It's going to be the Europeans who are on the hook as well. And honestly, that's a different place for them to be, right? They've been relying on American firepower since the end of the war 80 years ago. So I'm kind of looking forward to today. I want to see what they're going to say coming out of it. And I'm very much looking forward to the idea of security guarantees involving the Europeans as well, because that's important, right? It's important. It's important these folks, grow up and move out of their parents' basement.
That's an interesting way to put it. I think a good way to put it. I don't want to give Donald Trump too much credit here. I think the staff that he has put together, starting with Susie Wiles, honestly, but with J.D. Vance, with Marco Rubio, with the entire crew, they had a plan going in. If you look at the linear progression from the day President Trump took office with some of the executive orders he signed, there are a number of things, and I kind of go to what I was saying with the NATO agreements a second ago. It was like those NATO agreements may have laid the foundation for how some of these negotiations are going to go with Europe. Is there a master plan where the things that have happened and the order in which they have happened since Inauguration Day have been linear and have been by design, or is some of that just kind of falling into place by happenstance?
Yeah, some of it is a plan, right? And the plan is pretty simple. It's time to figure out a way to completely harness the economic power of Europe, right? And that means you guys are going to have to spend some more of your money on the military, right? The United States can't be writing blank checks for the rest of our natural lives with respect to Europe. So that was that. And I think the other thing is the Ukraine thing with respect to what's not on plan, what's sort of driven by events. That's Ukraine, right? I think the president hoped that the Russians would change their modus operandi when he got in, and they didn't right away. And if you notice, he kept giving them more time. He said, 2 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever. I think at some point a month ago, the president said, okay, this is obviously not going to happen on its own. We're going to have to force the issue. And that's when the issue started to get forced. And
do you believe that directly led
the president?
Do you believe that kind of final, okay, I'm not giving you 2 months, 60 days, whatever, it's 11 days, and the countdown is on. Do you believe that ultimately forced the summit in Alaska?
Yeah. I think the president had made up his mind before that, hey, they're at a second chance. The Russians now are at a second chances. We need to get serious about this, and we need to drive this issue, right? And like I said, love the president, hate the president. When he feels like doing something, he kind of clears the way out, right? And he gets it done. So, and that's you see it right away, right? The pickup in tempo. We're going to have this meeting in Alaska. We're going to have this meeting in D.C. And my guess is we're going to have another meeting right off the meeting in D.C. today, right? So.
Mike McKenna is president of MWR Strategies. Anytime there's a summit, one of the things that people talk about is optics. And there are a lot of people that didn't like the optics of the red carpet being rolled out. There are a lot of people that didn't like the optics of the handshake and the seemingly friendly demeanor between world leaders. But to me, the optic that stood out the most was when they were walking down that red carpet. You had the B-50 or the B-2 flyover, flanked by the F-22s. You had the F-35s on the base with all the military backdrop. That felt like about as big a flex. And if you watch Putin's reaction, he kind of jolted and looked up, and it was like Donald Trump never even broke stride when that happened. What did you make of that look?
I agree 100%. The rest of it was immaterial. That whole thing was about the flyover, and Putin got the message clearly, right?
He certainly did, I think. I guess we'll see in the days to come. Mike McKenna, MWR Strategies. He's the president there, writes columns with the Washington Times as well. Mike, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the visit. Hope we can do it again soon.
Amen. Thanks, brother.
Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Mike's operated in this political stratosphere for a while and brings really good insight. We got more coming up with you. We'll wrap up the 7 o'clock hour next on MRC.
From the Venable Glass Track.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name.
C-Spire text line 601-879-4395. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Putin's goals going into the summit: 1, no ceasefire; 2, no new sanctions; 3, legitimization by the U.S. U.S. soldiers literally rolled out a red carpet. All achieved. Trump goals: ceasefire, new sanctions if no ceasefire. Not achieved. Where do you get that those were Donald Trump's goals? He did say that they would like to see a ceasefire, but he was very clear about the fact that he didn't know if that would be achieved in that particular meeting. I think what Trump's goal was in that particular meeting, based on what he said to Brett Baer on Air Force One in that interview. Did you watch it? Like, did you actually watch and listen to what was said? He was abundantly clear that this was not the meeting where everything was going to get done. He made it clear that this was a gateway to a second meeting, and he said it over and over and over again. And his willingness to walk out was if nothing happened productive. He said, I want a ceasefire. I'm going to be disappointed if we don't get a ceasefire out of this meeting. But you know what President Trump said coming out of the meeting when he met with reporters, I guess on Air Force One on the way over? He said, this is going to be bigger than a ceasefire. We're going to jump to a peace agreement because ceasefires seem to not last very often. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was on multiple morning shows yesterday, including Face the Nation. Margaret Brennan was hosting that. And she didn't really ask a question here. She just kind of said, this is what's going to happen. And Marco said, no, you're wrong.
You know, there is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not why that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming.
February Oval Office meeting in front of television cameras where President Zelensky.
Do you know how many meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know, and I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but it was Zelensky. We've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. So, but that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
But
they're coming because we invited them to come and they chose to come. A stupid media narrative that they're coming because Trump is going to bully Zelensky. You're left with the question, or at least I'm left with the question. Do the reporters that cover the Trump administration largely hate Donald Trump so much that they would prefer to see a peace deal not happen and for the killing of Ukrainian soldiers, Russian soldiers, and innocent people in both Russia and Ukraine, would they prefer to see those people continue to die rather than see Donald Trump broker another peace deal with another two countries?
Yes.
We were talking about the paper ballot executive order that Trump just said this morning that he was going to put out there. We're in a place where it does not matter what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And it almost makes you wonder if Donald Trump is using that to his advantage. Regardless of what comes out of his mouth, Democrats and those who side with them are against it. Doesn't matter if it's a good idea or a bad idea. If it's his idea, they are against it. Period. I mean, you even had Hillary Clinton saying that she would, if Donald Trump was able to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, she would nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. And so you get things like Margaret Brennan saying, well, you rolled out the red carpet for Russia. She didn't talk about the flyover. I mean, there was a visual shudder and genuine surprise. Donald Trump may not have known that Vladimir Putin was going to grab the mic and start talking the second they got to the dais for that press conference. Vladimir Putin did not know that his tower was going to be buzzed by a B-2 and American fighter jets while walking down, and his reaction was priceless. Hadn't spent a lot of time covering that. 8 o'clock hour on the way. Got Fox News, we got SuperTalk News. JT Mitchell going to join us a little bit later in the 8 o'clock hour. More with you right after this.
Your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Thanks for spending part of your Monday morning with us. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Love hearing from you on the C Spire text line. It has been particularly active this morning. 601-879-4395 is the number if you would like to join the conversation. Looking for game-changing technology? Then you need C Spire on your team. 5G wireless fiber home internet and business IT solutions built as tough as your defense. Learn more at cspire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you. Alongside Will East, who is in for Lance Tolbert this morning, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us. Love to get your feedback to our conversation with Mike McKenna just a little while ago. And JT Mitchell is going to join us for the last couple of segments, as he does every single Monday morning. Mose says, rather than an executive order, I would rather President Trump call on Congress to pass that legislation, place it on the representatives and senators to get it done, maybe even try to rally the public to call on their legislators to pass it. Mose, I feel that way about a lot of legislation. But the makeup of Congress is such right now that President Trump really doesn't have that luxury. I think he would love to hand a lot of this off to Congress for them to get it done, but there is a slim margin. The majority threshold that was used with the one big beautiful bill is not on the table for new legislation that just comes about organically or comes about at the direction of the president. The voting threshold changes pretty dramatically. And the numbers aren't really there, and it's not like bipartisan legislation is going anywhere these days. With regard to what I was saying a second ago about it, if it comes out of Trump's mouth, Democrats are against it. No name on this text. Would love to have a name. from the 601. It says, I would say the same applies for Republicans. No matter what comes out of Trump's mouth, Republicans will adopt it as their new position, regardless of how antithetical it is to their previously held position. I think there's some truth to that in some areas. But at the same time, the things that are coming out of Trump's mouth as it pertains to executive orders specifically, but general positions generally, are the things that he talked about on the campaign trail. Like, there hasn't been much new that we haven't heard from Donald Trump while campaigning to be president for a second term. There hasn't been much new that has come from him during this time in office. And yes, it's abundantly clear that not all Republicans agree with him on every single thing that comes along. In fact, I thought the clip that we got from Roger Wicker yesterday was an interesting one. Let me see if I've got that one pulled up. I had it here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So, Roger Wicker, over the weekend, had some thoughts on Russia. And more specifically, the Soviet Union. He referenced Ronald Reagan, and he talked about what he thinks needs to happen from the United States and the American president. Here's Roger Wicker, the senator from Mississippi.
Let me say this about Vladimir Putin. The Russian people are led by someone who is nostalgic about the Tsarist period of Russia. President Reagan correctly called the USSR an evil empire. Vladimir Putin is nostalgic for a return to the evil empire, and that is why he's done what he's done. And yes, he poisons political opponents. He assassinates former members of the administration who oppose him publicly. He has invaded Georgia. He has invaded Ukraine. And as of yet, no one has given Vladimir Putin a bloody nose for any of this. I think the alliance, our friends in NATO, and a bipartisan majority are prepared to assist Ukraine in making sure that if it happens this time, Vladimir Putin will get a bloody nose.
And that has to do with whatever security guarantees are put in place as part of an assumed eventual peace deal. And if you're not entirely familiar with the idea of security guarantees or how that works, the countries that are part of NATO, there is an understanding that an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Ukraine is not a member of NATO. They desperately want to be part of NATO. Zelensky has talked about that over and over and over again. They are not going to get NATO membership. It's not going to happen. But Putin, apparently, in the conversation with Trump in Alaska, agreed to security guarantees that the European Union, in conjunction with the United States, would be put in place. And what that means is, hey, we're getting a peace deal. These are the terms of the peace deal. And if you violate the terms of the peace deal moving forward, then you, Russia, will be subject to backlash from all of these countries that are agreeing to provide security for Ukraine. Dave says if they get a security guarantee, they're getting NATO without getting NATO. I feel like Zelensky has done this as a means to get NATO. I don't disagree with that at all, Dave. The Article 5 protections that they're talking about, the security guarantees that they are discussing, are de facto NATO treatment without making Ukraine a member of the NATO, and I'm sorry, without making Ukraine an official member of NATO. And I say what I said a second ago. NATO ain't happening for Ukraine. It's not happening. But if these security clearance guarantees are indeed locked in, then it's de facto NATO. They get the protection that they need, and you say as a means to get NATO. I just that's not going to happen. We've got somebody here not a fan of Roger Wicker. He's been pretty consistent on his disdain for Russia. The difference is, even as chair of the Armed Forces Committee, you can talk really tough about bloodying the nose of Vladimir Putin. Lindsey Graham is at the top of that list, right? Lindsey Graham at the top of the list of, we've got to be harder on Russia. We've got to hammer them with sanctions. Lindsey Graham, neither Lindsey Graham nor Roger Wicker are the ones that are having to sit down across the table from Vladimir Putin to try and negotiate a peace deal. And the idea that you can negotiate a peace deal at gunpoint with a sledgehammer with someone like Vladimir Putin, it doesn't work that way. You have to approach him as a head of state. You have to approach him as one of the 3 largest nuclear powers on planet Earth. Whether you like the guy or not, whether you think he's a terrible human being or not, whether you think he is a radical and a murderer and someone that poisons his political opponents, et cetera, you still have to negotiate with him. Like, there's no way around that. He is the decision maker for Russia within this conflict. And Russia's got a lot of power in this. So we'll see where it goes. There was, I don't have time to do it here. Steve Witkoff has been the special envoy for the president. He's a guy that has done a lot of the negotiating. And one of the things that Margaret Brennan said to Marco Rubio, you're bringing Europe here as backup to make sure that Zelensky doesn't get bullied. One of the things that Marco Rubio said, we've had like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. We've been meeting with the European Union. Steve Witkoff is the guy who has been leading a lot of those conversations. He's a guy that's kind of flown a little bit below the radar in this administration, but has been vitally important to its success, to the ending of the other, 5 conflicts that have happened kind of across the world. He's negotiated some of the hostage release stuff. You got a bunch of people behind the scenes that are doing good work with this administration. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up. Time to shine! Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Ed in the Delta joins us on the C Spire text line. He says it's the Democrats' underlying theme that Trump is soft on Putin. Biden talked tough about Putin but did nothing. Trump knows that negotiations don't work that way, but the press is still trying to work the bogus Russia collusion scheme. They actually are. I mean, the whole thing has kind of been debunked, and yet you still had people going, well, I mean, we know that it happened. One of the fascinating things for me has been this just desire is not even a strong enough word. This demand by reporters, give us details. Give us details. What did they discuss in the meeting? What are you going to make Russia give up? And one of the first things that came out after the meeting was, we're not going to tell you guys really what we talked about. Why? Because you'll blow it up. Will, if you were negotiating a contract, and I know business and war negotiations are not exactly the same, but if you were down the hall negotiating a new contract for yourself to continue your work with our company, and you had a preliminary conversation in which you kind of laid out your position, and our bosses kind of laid out their position, would it be advantageous for you to achieve some or all of what you want if you went and did an interview immediately after the meeting with a news outlet in the Jackson metro area saying, these are the things that I am demanding? How would that work?
That would not work very well, and there's a reason why generally you don't do that.
If you're the Southeastern Conference negotiating for something on behalf of your member schools where you've got to get the Big Ten to change their position, does Greg Sankey walk out of a meeting with the commissioner of the Big Ten and go, this is exactly what we talked about and this is what we are demanding?
Not unless he wants to blow it up.
I mean, is that how you're going to get there? You have to finesse it. You got to give a little so that you can take a little. You know, there was a time where our government actually worked that way. It was called compromise. Bipartisanship. You would give a little to get a little. You would get a little because you gave a little. In some instances, you'd be able to get a little bit more. But in other negotiations, you might have to settle for a little bit less than what you actually wanted. And you went on about your business. So Marco Rubio on ABC this week with Martha Raddatz, who I guess was a fill-in host. I think that's what we established earlier this morning. And Martha Raddatz is pressing Secretary Rubio for information from the summit.
Can you name any concessions that Vladimir Putin made during this meeting? Have any
I wouldn't name them on your program.
Have any concessions
I wouldn't name
been
them
asked?
on your program. Why would I do that?
Where is the
pressure?
pressure?
Of course, because you can't have a peace agreement. No, you can't have a peace agreement unless both sides give and get. You can't have a peace agreement unless both sides make concessions. That's a fact. That's true in virtually any negotiation. If not, it's just called surrender. And neither side is going to surrender. So both sides are going to have to make concessions. So, of course, concessions were asked. But what utility would there be of me going on a program and tell you we've wagged our finger at Putin and told him you must do this and you must do that? It's only going to make it harder and less likely that they're going to agree to these things. So these negotiations, as much as everyone would love it to be a live pay-per-view event, these discussions only work best when they are conducted privately in serious negotiations in which people who have to go back and respond to constituencies, because even totalitarian governments have constituencies they have to respond to, people have to go back and defend these agreements that they make, and figure out a way to explain them to people. So we need to create space for concessions to be made, but of course concessions were asked.
Can you name...
That strikes me as a pretty intelligent response. Can you tell me one thing that Russia agreed to? No. Why would I do that? That would be silly.
By the way, Martha Raddatz is the one who cried on election night in 2016.
Martha Raddatz looks like the principal and Uncle a Buck. If you don't remember that scene, you may have to go back and watch it. Like, I don't even know how you look at all of this. You just wonder what's going on. It's the reason that I asked the question, and, you know, some people said, hey, is that rhetorical? Will, you answered absolutely yes. when you look at some of these media members who very clearly are aligned with whatever Donald Trump is not aligned with, said that about as diplomatically as I could say it, you are left with the assumption of they would rather this blow up and have a loss on the resume of Donald Trump than they would see a lasting peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine.
Absolutely.
It's a bad place to be.
I mean, it is evidently clear that, especially with a lot of the national news networks, that they have decided that whatever Trump says, they're against. I mean, he could come out against anything. He's obviously come out against crime, Washington, D.C., and other big cities.
Oh!
And he's within his rights, because D.C. is a little bit different than, other states and cities.
Yeah.
And they have just come out and just gone crazy with it.
Nuts. And frankly, I think Trump knows that now, and it's working to his benefit. He has almost gotten to the point where he's like, I can say red, they're going to say blue. The American people, as a whole, Republican or Democrat, largely believe red, and it doesn't matter how out of left field the comment is, they're going to say blue.
Yeah, it's become almost a game, I think, for some of them. It's like Trump will just go out and say this, and then they will come out with as crazy as the other side is. That's why he keeps winning these 80-20.
The 80-20 issues.
The 80-20 issues.
The locker room stuff, the gender and sports stuff,
crime.
The securing the borders, the crime, the safer. He just keeps winning on those. And they keep digging in farther and farther and farther. And it doesn't matter how much they talk about changing their message because of its ineffectiveness after the election. It took about 3 weeks for them to go back to saying the same things they were saying before, doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. And now, to me, this is the most glaring issue so far in 8 months, where the media has very completely dug in with their talking points. Everybody's saying the same thing. Well, the red carpet. Well, the ashen faces.
Well, and two, here's another thing, another aspect of it is a lot of Republicans, a lot of prominent Republicans are willing to go on shows where they're going to get punched. Mm-hmm. For example, Rubio going on Margaret Brennan, going on talking with Martha Raddatz. They're willing to do these things. The Democrats will not. Very few are willing to go on Fox News or right-leaning TV networks and be interviewed. J.B. Pritzker is not going on Brett Baier because he knows he's going to get punched. And they can't take a punch. They won't even go on Bill Maher anymore.
Much less counterpunch.
Yeah.
Much less defend.
They can't defend. They can't take tough questions. They're so used to getting softballs that they can't hit a curve anymore. Bill Maher pointed this out the other day on his show. He says, Republicans come on here talking about his show all the time, and he says, I beat them up, but they still come on the show. He says, I would love to have AOC on.
That's what you do when you're comfortable in the position that you're fighting for.
Yes.
When you genuinely believe in it.
I've always believed that conservative talk radio wins because you sit there, you battle it out, and the conservative viewpoint wins most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. And I think what has happened is the media landscape has changed over the past, especially 10 years, to where Democrats don't have to go on these shows anymore to remain popular. And so they're not accustomed to taking these punches. And so when they occasionally do get one, they look like fools.
I don't know what the president had for breakfast today. Maybe well-done steak with ketchup and a Diet Coke. But he's going to need his energy. Noon, European leaders arrive at the White House. 1 o'clock, the president will greet Zelensky. 1:15, bilateral meeting with the president of Ukraine begins. 2:15, European leaders coming into the state dining room. 2:30, Participation in a family photo with European leaders. 3 o'clock, multilateral meetings with the European leaders. Going to be a busy afternoon in Washington, D.C. JT Mitchell from the SuperTalk Mississippi News Team joins us coming up next.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Coming up on Labor Day weekend, the Prairie Arts Festival in West Point, Mississippi. It's Saturday, August 30th from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Great food, art vendors, and a whole lot more. And to get you set for the start of Prairie Arts Festival, we're going to be there live tomorrow. Mornings with Richard Cross and middays with Gerard Gibbert, broadcasting live from the Growth Alliance in West Point. We'll be there from 6 until 9. Gerard will be there from 10 until 1. Promoting the upcoming Prairie Arts Festival Labor Day weekend in West Point. Glad to be with you this morning. JT Mitchell joins us. He is the news director with the SuperTalk Mississippi News Team. This is not local to Mississippi, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. If you type into Google, will Zelensky wear a suit on Monday? The number of news stories talking about this and debating about this is it's extraordinary.
Well, let me do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're
the Independent, Fox News, Daily Express, Yahoo out of Canada, actually, AOL, Daily Beast. Lots of people covering what Zelensky's attire will be.
Axios, the Hindustan Times, Daily Express, the Daily Beast, MSN, AOL. Some of these are probably aggregated. But I mean, like there was a deep dive into this. Axios says what to watch. Sources says Zelensky will show up at the White House on Monday wearing the same black jacket he wore to a NATO summit in the Netherlands in June. It is going to be a suit style, but not a full suit. The NATO summit was the first time Zelensky had worn a business-style jacket since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. There was a U.S. official who told Axios off the record, Zelensky came like a normal human being, not crazy, and was dressed like somebody that should be at NATO. So they had a good conversation. The other side of the story, it would be great if he wore a tie, but we don't expect him to. J.D. Vance was more annoyed than Trump, according to sources, by Zelensky's look and attitude the last time around. The tie thing was a J.D. thing when it first happened. And then between the lines, says that Zelensky has gotten better at appealing to Trump. Give him some credit. He's not as bad as he used to be, the second advisor said.
Now, how do they know that he hasn't worn a suit since 2020?
He's talked about it, and it's been really public.
So he said, yeah, I haven't worn a suit since 2020?
He's been like all military style and has said, it's not appropriate for me to wear a suit when my fellow countrymen are out on the battlefield.
10-4. Well, SuperTalk Mississippi News will not cover if he wears a suit or not.
You sure?
No, I'm sure. I am sure. I'm sure we'll cover what happens during the meeting with President Trump. Attire-wise, though, probably not.
Not even like a passing reference to...
Well, if you really want me to.
Dressed in a black suit-like jacket.
If you really want me to set the scene like that, Richard, I will.
Okay. Amtrak, Gulf Coast, finally.
Finally is right. After nearly 20 years, too. Of course, Hurricane Katrina and the devastation that came with it back in 2005 took out passenger rail service on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Well, now, 2 hours and 11 minutes ago, the first public train went from Mobile through Pascagoula, Biloxi, Gulfport, Bay St. Louis, and to New Orleans. And so it's back, and you can get tickets. It's $15 for the full ride one way.
Really?
Yeah. And it'll be prorated, so if you go from Mobile to Gulfport, That's obviously shorter than Mobile to New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's $7.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
People are excited about this, aren't they?
People are. I'm excited about it, too. And, you know, it's not just Mobile to New Orleans with the Mississippi stops. Technically, you can get to New Orleans and go northward to Chicago or Memphis or wherever you want to go because they have a larger station there. I think they're expecting around 70,000 people to travel the first year, with it hopefully going up each year after that.
So you could jump on the train in Gulfport, take it to New Orleans, deboard, get on the city of New Orleans, and take it to Chicago.
Yes, sir. You absolutely can.
Somebody ought to write a song about that. Maybe even call it City of New Orleans.
Yeah, you can catch a Cubs game while you're up there.
I didn't. Will, you so know. I thought I'd at least get a chuckle from you on that.
Well, you know, Arlo Guthrie songs, you know, you just don't get the jokes, the laughter.
Riding on the City of New Orleans. What a great song.
Hey, but it did finally happen. You know, this almost didn't happen. For years, federal, local, state lawmakers, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana have been trying to bring passenger rail service back. Well, I guess it was earlier this year or last year, the Mobile City Council actually said no. They voted against Amtrak starting in Mobile, and then they went back on it, and here we are. So I'm sure they just boarded another train at 8:30. So if you're down there, whether it's vacation or you live down there, I highly encourage you to take advantage of what they're calling the Mardi Gras service.
I love it. It doesn't quite have the same ring as City of New Orleans. Maybe it's just because Arlo Guthrie hasn't written a song about it,
Richard
but perhaps
Cross
Mardi
hasn't
Gras.
written a song.
Or Steve Azar. He's pretty good at writing songs.
Azar, if you're listening, get on it. We got you a big hit.
I feel like Jimmy Buffett would have written a song about Mardi Gras service.
Yeah, that'd be right up his alley.
No doubt. No doubt. There was a lot that was made about the Jackson mayoral race. And John Horn has now been in office for, about a month and a half, about 6 weeks now since his July 1st inauguration. What's going on in the capital city with the new mayor and the board and kind of how they are all working together?
Well, from my perspective as not only a citizen but also a journalist, it's assuring. It really is. I know this is hyperbole, but it feels like there's been more unanimous decisions on the Jackson City Council over the past month and some change than there was throughout the entire second term of Mayor Lumumba. It's crazy to watch. People are getting along. Now, how hard is that? And because people are getting along, they're getting stuff done. Mayor Horn said public safety is his number one priority, and it goes from there. It blossoms from there. Last week alone at the city council meeting, they passed an ordinance where it's stricter penalties if you illegally dump in the city. So if people use the city as their personal dumpster, not only will you get jail time and a fine, the city said, we're also going to take your car. That's your penalty. We will seize your car for the time being.
Wait, what?
I know. Illegal dumping has become an issue. I don't know if you've ever driven in some parts of Jackson, like Hill.
So when you say illegal dumping, are we talking about like you've got a trailer full of crap and of stuff, and you just go and you're like, hey, this is a good place to dump it. Won't be on my property, out of sight, out of mind. Or is this like going and throwing trash bags in the back of your truck into somebody's dumpster that doesn't belong to you?
Not the latter.
Okay,
I wouldn't, because I know you don't take the trash to your street for whatever reason.
I actually did last night.
Oh.
Rolled the big can out. I've been doing a little bit better.
You're turning a new leaf, Richard.
It's not exclusive, but it's more regular than it was.
So you'd be fine for your old habits. But it's really for the people.
I would?
In terms of going to a dumpster and putting your
fine,
trash
as in I would be okay, not fine.
Yeah, you'd be okay.
Okay.
It's about the people who, they go to Hill to Dry purposely, and they say, this is where I'm putting my old mattress, I'm putting my old armchair, I have 10 trash bags with me, I have 12 tires as well, let's dump it all here right next to somebody's house. That stuff's got to go, if you ask the new mayor. And the city council agreed. And so there's stricter penalties on that They also banned the use of ski mask in public places because JPD actually has facial recognition in different parts of the city where crime is higher. Now, if somebody is wearing a ski mask in that part of the city while committing a crime, guess what doesn't work? The facial recognition. And so they banned ski masks, for Halloween. Kids can wear masks. They did some stipulations like that. But if you're wearing a ski mask on August 18th at 1 p.m., and you look like you're about to commit a crime, well, you're going to get fined for not only wearing a ski mask in public, but if you're caught committing a crime while wearing that mask, it's going to be doubled. And then you'll get whatever else is on top that the court system decides to give you for that crime. So there's been a lot of agreement in city council since Mayor Horn took over. Atlanta did something like the ski mask ordinance as well.
My favorite thing from the ski mask story is when they say also called shiesties.
Yeah, Chief Wade said that. I said, shiesty mask. Okay, no shiesty mask in the city of Jackson.
Does that mean you're a shyster if you wear a shiesty?
We'll have to ask Chief Wade.
We visited with the governor of Mississippi last week, Tate Reeves, and he referenced SNAP benefits and the waivers that some states have gotten. I asked him whether or not that was possibly going to happen in Mississippi, and we'll talk a little bit about his answer on the other side of this timeout. JT Mitchell, news director with the SuperTalk Mississippi news team, with us. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Back with you for one final segment after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea.
Last time with you on this Monday morning, JT Mitchell is my guest, but really he's just part of the family. He comes in through the back door. Doesn't have to knock on the front door, ring the doorbell, just lets himself in. He's welcome anytime. He's the news director with the SuperTalk Mississippi news team. Hey, I just want to let you know, the final stop of the inaugural Not Fall Camp Tour is coming to you this Wednesday in Hattiesburg, Ed's Burger Joint. It's all presented by our friends at Pearl River Resort. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com. Your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Pearl River Resort. Looking forward to that. Jeremy McClain, the athletics director at Southern Miss, is going to join us. Actually going to talk with somebody in their ops department that is going to give you kind of a heads up. You'll especially want to listen if you are planning to go to the season opener on August 30th when Southern Miss hosts Mississippi State. There is some road construction, there is some campus construction, and we're going to make sure that you know how to go, where to park, all that good stuff. We are, I think, going to be able to visit with Charles Huff, the new head football coach at Southern Miss, and some surprise guests coming up as well. We got started at the library in Oxford last week. We were at Two Brothers in Starkville. Have had a great time. Have enjoyed getting to visit with many of you. And the final stop coming up this Wednesday, 3 to 6 in Hattiesburg at Ed's. JT, have you ever had a Captain Crunch milkshake from Ed's Burger Joint?
Unfortunately, I've not.
Come hang out with us. I'll buy you one.
Is that okay, Will? You mind if I take off the afternoon?
Yeah, I'll let you.
You going to cover the newsroom for me?
I'll allow it.
Who knows? There might be news that breaks in Hattiesburg that day.
That's right.
Oh.
And Coach Huff has got it going on down there in Hattiesburg. There's a lot of hype.
We think
We think
he does. We hadn't seen an actual game yet.
Nope. Just a couple scrimmages.
Unprecedented is a big word, but I will say as excited as I can remember in a long time. I think that's how I would classify Southern Miss fans going into this year, and not hoping for, but expecting a win in the season opener against Mississippi State.
Man, and that's going to be a fun one, too.
Will be. Also be a hot one.
I think they have 80 new players on roster.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's some
all right.
Deion Sanders stuff.
Yeah, so we talked with the governor last Wednesday, I believe it was. Wednesday of last week. And I asked him about the SNAP benefit waiver that a number of states have gone. I think it was 6 of them that were kind of there, but overall I think it's up to a dozen now, have asked for a waiver in which they could ban the purchase of unhealthy foods, sugary drinks, junk food with their SNAP benefits. And the governor had an interesting response, and there's some people that have taken notice.
Yeah, great interview, by the way. I mean, that was the first time Governor Reeves had weighed in on it, because it's no secret that multiple states, I think we're up to 12 now, have asked the federal government, hey, can we get this waiver approved where junk food cannot be purchased with SNAP benefits? All 12 have been granted. I've seen your interview referenced in Newsweek, some state publications. Caleb in the newsroom did a great article on it as well at supertalk.fm. So Governor Reeves said, yeah, it's on my radar, and I'm working to get there. Because I have seen kind of the domino effect since your interview. I saw the lieutenant governor said that lawmakers are going to look into all the regulations for federal assistance come January. And so I did a little more of a deep dive. And technically, Tate Reeves' office can just go ahead and apply for it. It doesn't have to go through the House or Senate. I'm not saying that's what the lieutenant governor was saying. I'm saying that states like Arkansas and Utah and others, their governor has just asked. They did it. And the federal government said, yep, you're approved. So we'll see. That could be happening soon.
Appreciate the governor coming on with us last week. I thought he was very forthcoming. I thought he, and I mean this in a complimentary way, and it would stand to reason that this is the case. I thought he was as comfortable, if not more so, than I've ever seen him or felt that he was in a conversation. The fact that this is his final term, there is not another election that he has to win. They have been winning in a really, really big way. Maybe those things lend to it, but appreciated the governor's time and thought we covered a lot of ground. If you missed that, it's archived on supertalk.fm, and as a podcast, you can go back and get it as well. Just in 10 seconds, the final month of the Taylor Swift exhibit at the Mississippi Grammy Museum is upon us.
That's right. I know you're a Swiftie, Richard. She's got a new album coming out in October. Get ready for it by going to the Grammy Museum in Cleveland. You have until August 30th, I believe, to get that done. All of her old stuff is there. So
good. Wait, Easter eggs I keep hearing about? She's dropping Easter eggs?
Yeah, you see, you are a Swiftie.
Well, I watched part of the interview the other day just because I was curious and I was driving. Thanks for being with us, JT. Will, thank you. We hope you have a wonderful day. Appreciate you being part of Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
A Super Talk Mississippi Media production.